In 2003, the start of 8 16-by-16 garden plots in inner-city Chicago didn't seem like much. In fact, it seemed like nothing would ever really grow from it. After all, it was just supposed to be a semester research project for a student at the University of Illinois. And that is almost exactly what happened. After the first season of the garden, it was supposed to be shut down. There simply wasn't enough interest. However, Dawn Blackman, a resident of the community, was disheartened by this. She regularly helped neighborhood children garden, despite not being a gardener herself, and took great delight in the children's excitement about growing peppers and tomatoes. Through great determination and long hours spent reading up on gardening, as well as learning physically how to garden, Dawn saved the garden and encouraged people of all ages to come together and take care of it. She also helped provide fresh, healthy food to her neighborhood. To quote Dawn, 9 years later, the garden is a vital part of the community. Last year, we had more than 300 children and 150 adults gardening. More than 1,800 people bought or received fresh produce. People of many faiths and backgrounds, speaking 8 different languages, gardened together. This garden that was supposed to be a semester-long project grew into a central pillar of the community, all because of the dedication of one woman. This is just one example of the beauty that a community garden can add to a community, and maybe, with your help, it can bring beauty to this community. I've lived in Vegas since I was 2, and throughout my time here, I've been able to experience all of the incredible things that Las Vegas has to offer. I went to high school right off of Fremont Street, which most people would describe as a pretty rough area. And the biggest need that I saw was for a stronger sense of community. For a community that is able to nourish people of all ages, socially and physically, in a safe and healthy way. The best way to do that is through a community garden. Community investment in a community garden is key to having the garden thrive and the key to nourishing a strong community. Community gardens help build a close-knit community, it nourishes the people of the community, and they are something that is worth the time of every resident of this community. Community gardens support the growth of a strong community. By working together in a garden, a sense of camaraderie is established between all members of the community. According to the Sustainable Food Center, for example, we live in an era in which, for many of us, our neighbors are strangers. Community gardens draw members who live nearby, so they provide the opportunity to meet, work beside, and even form friendships with people who might live down the street, but who you might have never encountered otherwise. Many an unlikely friendship has been formed by a community garden, often across generational and cultural divides. In Dawn's neighborhood, people of all different languages and cultures are able to bond over the garden. As we all know, as residents of Las Vegas, Vegas is a beautifully diverse city with rich cultural diversity, and getting to know our neighbors from different backgrounds is a great way to get comfortable with people who may not look like you, who may speak a different language or eat different food from you. By having a community garden, there is a safe place to exchange and learn about the heritage of our neighbors. A community garden is also a safe way to get to know your neighbors and know how best to advocate for them. In today's world, it can be incredibly difficult to try and make friends in your neighborhood. Work schedules are hectic. Kids go to different schools. And generally, it is hard to sit down and find the time to interact with your neighbors. A community garden is a way to sit down and do something that benefits not only your neighborhood, but also your social life. Also from the Sustainable Food Center, the skills we gain practicing teamwork, how to hold constructive meetings, how to work with people from a variety of backgrounds who have a variety of learning styles and personalities, how to resolve conflict peacefully, and how to advocate for a particular outcome are the same skills needed to broaden the community advocacy. So not only are community gardens a great place to grow and build relationships, they're also a great way to learn how to advocate for your neighbors, how to learn the skills of teamwork that are going to be important when wider world issues start impacting the neighborhood. The time required for community garden is enough to get to know your neighbors, but it's not enough to be overwhelming. The Nourish Project tells us the success and sustainability of community gardens rely on community support and on people getting involved. Locally, in their case, over 700 people work hard to maintain, organize, and coordinate these gardens. This includes neighbors, co-workers, students, families, and teachers. Literally every member of the community. Despite their differences, they share a common love for their gardens, and by and large, they are all volunteers. You don't have to have a green thumb to be part of a community garden. Hundreds of citizens get involved by providing land, donating tools, seeds, and plants, by building sheds, composters, and water systems, by leading team building workshops and throwing garden parties, and in countless other ways. When a community sets their mind to making a garden, and work does not become too much for one person, because it is not the responsibility of one person. It is a collective effort made by the residents of this neighborhood, as well as the city, nonprofits, and even schools. Everyone in this community has something to offer to a community garden. It doesn't matter if you're like me and you kill every single plant that you touch, you still have something to offer to your community. Community gardens are also a great way to supplement nutrients and introduce the community to healthy food. Food deserts can be greatly helped by the presence of a community garden. A food desert is a place, typically in an urban area, where fresh vegetables and fruits are scarce. Typically, the only options are unhealthy, leading to nutrient deficiencies within the communities. A community garden gives people access to fresh produce for free or reduced cost. This means that healthy food will be more easily accessed by members of the community. Vita Steinbo tells us that because urban farming, a form of urban agriculture, would be integrated into the urban setting, it allows for people to see where their food comes from. The process of creating food, planting a seed, watering and caring for the plant, harvesting it, and eventually eating it, allows the gardener to see the start and finish of their food. This can be the best tool to prove the importance of eating healthy and the simplicity of growing food. Remember what Dawn said. The highlight of her gardening experience the first season that it was open was watching how excited the children around her were to be able to see where their food was coming from. They wanted to know where that tomato was, and they were a lot more likely to eat it if they knew that they were planting it, and then a little while later it was ending up on their plate. By investing time into a community garden, this community will reap the benefits of the long-term impacts to healthy, nutritious food. And that's absolutely crucial to nurturing a flourishing community. Having a community garden has been tried and has been successful in the Las Vegas Valley before. A North Las Vegas neighborhood used to be a food desert. Residents were hard-pressed to find anything other than sugary foods loaded with unhealthy ingredients, and they really only had access to food that would ultimately hurt them. That is until a partnership between Zion Methodist Church, the Conservation of Southern Nevada organization, and West Career Technical Academy, a community garden was started that would go in to provide residents with access to healthy food that had previously been out of reach. Having a community garden in Vegas is not only possible, but it can thrive with the right care from the community. Now, hundreds of people are involved in the maintenance of this community garden, and hundreds more people are able to reap the benefits of this healthy food. So what we've learned from everything that we've discussed today is that this community is incredible. And in order for this community to thrive even more than it is, to give all of the wonderful residents of this community access to the healthy food that they deserve, investing time in a community garden is something that is absolutely going to be worth your time. Thank you.